everybody. Welcome in. All right, let me test this audio. Hi, Link. Hi, Alice. Hi, BB-8. Hi, Potato. Hello, hello, hello. I'm scared to listen back to the audio. I'm scared. Sounds fuzzy to me. The mic unmute is so good. There you go, BB-8. What is that? It sounds like raining. What am I hearing? What was that? I'm gonna bring this in. Hi, Golden. Hello. In-game sound. Okay. Okay, let's see. I feel like I'm not hearing any crackles yet. Okay, I'm gonna trust you guys to let me know if crackles start happening. If crackles start happening, that's the end of the stream. And then since this stream is like intentionally to help people fall asleep. Never mind, you won't. No, I won't. I need to know. I need to know if it crackles because it's going to break my heart. Did it start crackling? Did it start crackling? Hi, Haz. Welcome in. Nobody tell her if it's crackling so that the stream keeps going. It didn't. Okay, I got nervous. Welcome in, Haz. How's it going? Were you lurking, Thomasina? Yeah, I didn't have audio the whole time. I was in and out. But I saw that she was working on some kind of... It was Signal Void? Is she planning to speedrun it? Okay. But yeah, we're just gonna do some soft-spoken reading tonight. Oh, just preparing for the update. Nice, nice. All right, I'm just having some sips. So yeah, I'm gonna be like... Since I'm trying to like read, I'm gonna figure this out. Like... You crashed? Did the stream break? Or you crashed? Did I crash? Oh, stream is fine. Okay. All right. Let me just go back to my normal stream manager. Okay. Looks like I have a minute of ads because it reset. I wonder if I should not be using like... Oh, your streak reset. Oh, you're on a 3-stream streak. Tea sounds. Yeah. Well, because I have my metal straw and my glass water. Meow. Hi, Mutton. Thanks for sticking around. iOS crashed. My keyboard didn't pop. Oh no. You like the tea sounds? Okay. Because I also have this very large container. I refilled my big gut bottle, my big gulp bottle. I refilled it with my cranberry water. So that one might be a little quieter. You have glass water? That doesn't sound healthy. Oh, you like the straw sounds? Okay. I wasn't sure if I should have a quiet drink. When the stream got reset, you missed the restart or something. Oh no. Oh no. Cranberry water is to die for. I think I'm addicted. I drink it every night. I was a little bit concerned that it might kind of dry my mouth out, so I mixed it really like thin. There totally aren't slight pops sometimes. Okay, like slight ones? Do I need to listen? Because I'm shifting some things around right now, so I don't know if that affects it. They aren't a huge issue. Shut up, Siri, go away. At this point. Okay, let me listen in. Let me listen in. I haven't been hearing pops, but then I may have missed them. Okay. Be nice to the robots, cats. Okay, I'm not hearing anything so far. You never know when they will overthrow humanity. That's very true. That's very true. Okay, I don't hear any like big pops. Occasional pops can be edited out in Audacity. Audacity. We don't like bots here. Instant ban. True. All right. I have never used Audacity. For my video, I've been using CapCut. I really like that. Does Audacity have something that like automates the process, like detects it and helps you cap it out, or? They were mostly when big sounds happened, I think, and it's been quiet for a bit now. Okay, cool. A freeware audio editor. Okay. Because I have, what's it called? I have Logic. Because my roommate edits music and stuff. But, I don't think it has anything that, like, conveniently automates things. It's not live, though, right? It's only for, yeah. Well, yeah, because, like, I mean, we are technically live. But, oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, so Audacity, since I'm going to be uploading, you need your headphones, definitely. Since I'm going to be uploading these, like, Sleepytime VODs onto, like, YouTube, then I could process them. So it would be helpful for the recordings eventually, but it wouldn't be something that I could do live, yeah. You can zoom in and delete the samples where the pops. Oh, okay. Yeah, I might end up needing to do that. Ooh, I have a bit of a piercing headache at the moment. Hold on, I'm gonna grab and leave. I knew BB-8 would like the pop. Do you want to hear the pill bottle? It's getting low. I need to order more. It's very low. It sounds like there are 2 pills. Yeah, it sounded like there were really only 2 or 3 in there, didn't it? If you hear popping, that's my mic stand, probably. Just trying to adjust this a little bit. Okay. You need more. The soft wind from the home screen is so good. Nice. Yeah, I just wrote that description really quickly. Since this is just something new that I'm trying out. And I turned off like all my other timers. I turned everything off. Alright, what I did... Again, I don't know exactly how this is going to work out. It's going to be an interesting experiment today. But I made a Pilgrim save and it's... oh, she's looking at a book. It's on Endless Night. Because I thought, oh, like, kind of like a dark mode. Oh, that's flashbang probably, but like, I thought she could just wander around in the dark. I might get her set up really quickly. And then we can kind of get started with the reading. Oh, we're reading skill book. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if there were a real version of the skill books? And then I read, like imagine if I read you a cooking book. Or if we read all the notes left behind. That could be like a whole video. If we collected all of the notes left behind. I don't know why I'm picking up everything, but we just aren't. But I thought I would have her wander around outside or something and we'll just grab everything that's in here and then like I figured we can just have her like auto walk. And I think I left the auroras on, but I want to like... I don't want to have like the blinking lights if I can avoid it. So I figured atmospheric auroras would be okay, but I don't want to be like inside a building. So I think we're going to be like walking around outside. So are the notes sad? The notes vary. So some of the notes are absolutely sad. Some of them are pretty dark and some of them are neutral, I guess. So, okay, let's grab these peaches. And let's see if there's anything else over here. And I'm not going to fire any guns or anything. I also turned off all the wolves. I turned off the wolves and the bears and the moose. That way, there won't be any sharp, like, barking sounds of them, like, running away or anything. So it'll be, like, the quietest version of TLD that you could imagine. We're just gonna walk around. Sad notes are sad. They are cats. Scream whispers. Hi, Gingy. Hi, Gingy. Welcome in. It's giving you a lot of ammo. It wants you to shoot something. No. Maglens. Since we're in Endless Night, I didn't even see the Maglens. That's funny. It's not going to do anything for us since we're in Endless Night. Hi, Pat. ASMR. Yeah. Yeah, so we're going to get started with it in just a minute. I think now that we're pretty well set up. Thank you for this spectacular RNG. This isn't TLD, it's TLC, the long calm. Yeah, and by the way, at the end of the night, since I'll probably read for at least about an hour, we'll just see how long I can actually steadily read for. I don't know if it's going to affect my voice differently. Redeems kick out Gingy for 69,420. My goodness. So I'll let you guys know, but close to the end of the stream, I don't want to read anybody like loud. You know what I mean? Like in case anybody does fall asleep. So if people have recommendations for like a quiet person to raid, you know, somebody who doesn't have like loud sounds or anything like that, that would be lovely too. But that's, you know, that's for future us to deal with. Slid would be perfect. Slid like that, sort of like a no mic person, or he always puts you to sleep. Yeah, see, that's the perfect. I can think of a couple of other streamers. I saw this streamer once who does like reading games mostly, and she does like soft spoken, and she would be perfect. Like, there's a few that are perfect. Otherwise, you know, it could end up that the Sleepytime streams, like, I might not raid if I can't find anybody who's like quiet, just in case, because I don't want to like wake anybody up. So, just a heads up. I will do my best to raid at the end of the night, but it'll hopefully be to somebody quiet. I'm going to try to be conscious of that. All right, so I'm going to get started with the reading. So I realized raid a quiet person and they raid a loud person. That's possible. If you don't raid, will it auto host? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Let's see. Oh, right. Okay. Let's see. I might as well come out of this. Okay. Let's see. So it's going to be an endless night. So it should stay dark and everything. Because I don't want anything too bright. Because if I fall asleep to it, even when my laptop is on like the lowest brightness, like it's still kind of bright. So I don't know. I would probably fall asleep with this light completely off on my screen, but you never know. But also, okay, so I'm going to be reading. I realized earlier today, I was like, oh my God, Anne of Green Gables. It's a super old book, right? I'm going to have to figure out, I'm going to have to get it open in a new window, I think. So I thought I would read Anne of Green Gables, right? It's old, so it should be like copyright free, as well as it's like a long book, right? It's a really long book. And then, so we're just gonna like auto walk around and I'll just like kick it back and forth a little bit just to keep her moving. We might stay around Mystery Lake, I don't know. I've got the contextual HUD on, so it keeps it like really atmospheric. We'll just let her crunch around. How do we feel about like the voice level compared to like the game level? Because like if I speak at this level, I can change like the game sounds to be quieter, louder. I can make my mic louder or quieter. It's good. It's a good balance. Okay. Can we turn the game footsteps off? Like sound? We can turn the sound down. You kind of like the footsteps? Does that make the steps a little bit quieter? I do wish I could like have it recorded separately. I wish the footsteps were slower somehow. Can we like, can you auto walk and crouch? What do we think about slow steps? Get heavy. Because I always fall asleep to PT's stream. I was thinking about getting heavy. Get tired. Just walk around exhausted. These are good ideas. I mean, it is Pilgrim. Let's see how heavy we are. 24. Okay, we're close to being heavy. We just need like 5 kilograms of something. Getting tired feels feels fitting for a sleepy stream. That's a good point. Yeah, because she seems really peppy right now. Like there's too much pep in her step. Oh, is that another player? Okay. Yeah. So like I want to read the book in kind of like a steady way. So this is interesting. We're just like getting this set up kind of. Oh, a toque. We need to make sure that she's warm. Oh, we had more pants. Okay, we're gonna carry the extra pants with us so that we're heavy. Others aren't gonna weigh us down. But I guess it all adds up eventually. Some stones. It's so funny because in Ark, the Overraptors, like, I would put stones in them when I was trying to get the Overraptors to help me make kibble. So it's funny that I'm trying to load Astrid with stones to slow her down and effectively do the same thing. Oh, sticks, perfect. Okay. One thing also, I'm wondering, the brightness on my game is cranked up because I do Darkwalker, but I think it'll balance out with the Endless Night. Astrid, I'm sorry. Chill the F down. We're trying to sleep. Exactly. Exactly, Astrid. Slow your roll. Here, let's break up these branches. Fill our pockets up with feathers to get heavy. Exactly. Aw, thank you for the good RNG, Pat. Came for the reading, stayed for the TLD gameplay. I love this. It's custom Pilgrim with no predators. I was wondering if I should try to stream in... Oh, she's freezing a little bit. That's okay. We can go inside someplace to warm up and collect some stuff. I think it's because it's windy. Meow, meow. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? We're on the Darkwalker route, I know. Oh, right. The category. I figured I would just stay in the TLD category. I've got like the tags, like the ASMR, like tag. The stream died? Did it? It's still red. It's still live for me. Do I need to refresh? If it breaks, that's okay. Let me see if it's still live on my end. Still live for mutton. All right. You refreshed. Okay, it's working now. Good. Fine for you guys. Okay, perfect. Otter. Oh, did that not work? Crocheting while watching. This is lovely. Oh, I'm so glad, Gingy. I think, is it otters? I don't know why the singular isn't working. Otters hold hands while sleeping. I love them. I thought that I fixed it. I thought that I fixed it to have the plural on it, but apparently I didn't. We do love otters, though. What are you crocheting, Gingy? I want to know. Okay, we need to find some more clothing just so she can stay alive without freezing to death. I love the emotes. Otter receipts. We need more aliases, yeah. Okay, let's pick up all the sticks. I'm really trying my best to get heavy here. Because we need to walk around, but I don't want her to die. Oh my god, so cute. Wait, why can I ignore slow mode? I'm not sure. A striped Christmas. Oh, yes. I want to knit like a drink cozy, like a tiny scarf for drinks. You can ignore slow mode too. I wonder if it's like subs. I know VIPs can definitely do it. Subs might be able to do it. Okay, I'm gonna use the flare even though it's loud. So I'm gonna look around for clothing and stuff like that. Let me test it. Okay. But subs can't. VIPs can always ignore slow mode, yes. You did do that fast, yeah. Yeah, Golden, you're not gonna have slow mode on you. Your one friend is a knitting wizard. I love seeing what people create. Oh my goodness. I love knitting, but I'm kind of slow at it. Like, slow mode might be broken. Yeah, it could be. It's okay though. That's not gonna help us get warmer. That one's warmer. That one's warmer. Okay, let's do that. And that. Okay, we only have 2 down arrows, but we're also holding the flare. That's the one problem with the endless night, is she's gonna be cold. She's gonna freeze a little bit. You've been elevated above the peasants. It's true. True. Imagine worrying about slow mode during ASMR stream. You were looking on speedrun.com and you joined like exactly a year before I did. You should tell. Yeah, we want to be sleepy. Okay, she's finally encumbered. Okay, I'm gonna do a timestamp. All right. I've decided to read Anne of Green Gables today. And in the background, we're going to have the endless night. Pilgrim. Long dark. Playing in the background. We're just going to let her walk around. All right. Anne of Green Gables. Chapter 1. Mrs. Rachel Lynde is surprised. Mrs. Rachel Lynde lived just where the Avonlea main road dipped down into a little hollow, fringed with alders and ladies' eardrops, and traversed by a brook that had its source away back in the woods of the old Cuthbert place. It was reputed to be an intricate, headlong brook in its earlier course through those woods, with dark secrets of pool and cascade. But by the time it reached Lynn's Hollow, it was a quiet, well-conducted little stream, for not even a brook could run past Mrs. Rachel Lynde's door without due regard for decency and decorum. It probably was conscious that Mrs. Rachel was sitting at her window, keeping a sharp eye on everything that passed, from brooks and children up, and that if she noticed anything odd or out of place, she would never rest until she had ferreted out the whys and the whereofs, wherefores thereof. There are plenty of people in Avonlea and out of it who can attend closely to their neighbor's business by dint of neglecting their own. But Mrs. Rachel Lynde was one of those capable creatures who can manage their own concerns and those of other folks into the bargain. She was a notable housewife. Her work was always done and well done. She ran the sewing circle, helped run the Sunday school, and was the strongest prop of the Church Aid Society and Foreign Missions Auxiliary. Yet with all this, Mrs. Rachel found abundant time to sit for hours at her kitchen window, knitting cotton warp quilts. She had knitted 16 of them, as Avonlea housekeepers were wont to tell in awed voices, and keeping a sharp eye on the main road that crossed the hollow and wound up the steep red hill beyond. Since Avonlea occupied a little triangular peninsula jutting out into the Gulf of St. Lawrence, with water on two sides of it, anybody who went out of it or into it had to pass over that hill road and so run the unseen gauntlet of Mrs. Rachel's all-seeing eye. There's the button. I figure I can pause and catch up with chat. It does stop you from sending messages up for 5 seconds, okay? Let's walk all the way to FA and then back. Oh, do I have an ad in progress? Maybe I should pee. Since the stream broke and it took me a minute to set up, I should go pee and then I'll be right back. This one's for you, BB-8. All right, you're back from me. That's good. This lady doesn't have the internet. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to have so much free time. It's true. I did forget the command. I did. All right. Yeah, I thought I would go and pee really quickly. All right. Well, I had the ad on. Oh, yeah. Just a reminder, I'm going to be uploading the VOD to the new YouTube channel. So I'll probably do like a version where I cut out like some of the pause breaks and stuff. The raw VOD are edited. Oh my god, my computer's being so annoying. Hold on. Stop. It's so confused because the headphones were plugged in. Stop. 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 So I'm thinking about doing both. I'm thinking about uploading the raw VOD as well as the so like the raw VOD and then like an edited version where I clip out some of the pause breaks and stuff like that. Can we start right after you explained how she had no free time before you were explaining the river thing? It might be easier to layer the audio over gameplay clips instead of playing and reading at the same time. Yeah, that's something that I'm gonna have to figure out over time. If you're a big fan of Anne of Green Gables, you'd recommend Jane of Lantern Hill. Ooh. And then when you edit the audio breaks out, there's no discontinuities in the video. Yeah, because then I can edit the audio separately. Yeah. Yeah, what I might end up doing is separating them, and then if it's just her walking around, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out something with some like, fadey filters or something. I don't know if I need help with editing, but I could use help with like reviewing it and like opinions on it. So that would be good. I'll figure something out. I'll figure something out. Jane of Lantern Hill, though, I'm gonna look that up because like I definitely need recommendations. All right. Oh, I should share the link to the book and that way you could read along. Let me add a command for that. It's already a command with a book? Oh, for something else. You were looking for that, yeah. Add the title. Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Oh, I could add it in the title too. Hold on. See, we're figuring this out. This book has so many chapters, it's hard to read the Roman numerals without thinking about it. It really does. I scrolled past like so many chapters. XXXV, like 38. It's a lot. It's that was one of the reasons that I chose it. I was like, oh, it's long. I won't have to choose a new book for a long time. I won't have to choose a book for ages. Because there's this one, and then it's like a really long series too. 31. Yeah, there's like a ton. Have you ever read any Roger Zelazny books? The name is not familiar to me. I haven't read a lot of books, I'm going to be honest with you. I read Anne of Green Gables when I was like a child. I was like a kid, right? So the answer to have you ever read is probably going to be no. It's probably going to be no, just in general. All right, let's see. So where was it that you wanted me to pick back up from? Back when you were just one cat in a cup. Exactly. You love Rogers the Lesney's books. If you're ever looking for a good science fiction-esque like a romance, you should check it out right before the river stuff, okay? Anne of Green Gables is like a millennial childhood staple. It really is. After you told us about her lack of free time. Okay, so just a couple sentences. The river. I don't know, I'm having trouble finding it. I'm sorry, Alice. I think I just have to carry on from where I was because I don't know exactly what you mean. Yeah, I think I'll just carry on from where I was. I'm sorry. My birthday's June 30th. Did you read the fine legal print at the bottom? Is there something that says, like, don't read it out loud? I didn't read anything. I didn't scroll to the bottom. Okay, I'm bad at skimming. Do not charge a fee for access to viewing, displaying, performing, copying, or distributing. It seems okay if it's not a paid for service. Okay. Okay, yeah, so it's not like paywalled or anything. Okay. Okay, cool. Thanks for reading that though. All right, we will carry on. I feel like they changed my ad timer again. Confusing. Okay. Let's carry on with the book. Here we go. All right. She was sitting there one afternoon in early June. The sun was coming in at the window warm and bright. The orchard on the slope below the house was in a bridal flush of pinky white bloom, hummed over by a myriad of bees. Thomas Lind, a meek little man whom Avonlea people called Rachel Lind's husband, was sowing his late turnip seed on the hill field beyond the barn, and Matthew Cuthbert ought to have been sowing his on the big red brook field away over by Green Gables. Mrs. Rachel knew that he ought, because she had heard him tell Peter Morrison the evening before, in William J. Blair's store over at Carmody, that he meant to sow his turnip seed the next afternoon. Peter had asked him, of course, for Matthew Cuthbert had never been known to volunteer information about anything in his whole life. And yet here was Matthew Cuthbert at 3:30 on the afternoon of a busy day, placidly driving over the hollow and up the hill. Moreover, he wore a white collar and his best suit of clothes, which was plain proof that he was going out of Avonlea. And he had the buggy and the sorrel mare, which betokened that he was going a considerable distance. Now where was Matthew Cuthbert going, and why was he going there? Had it been any other man in Avonlea, Mrs. Rachel, deftly putting this and that together, might have been given a pretty good guess as to both questions. But Matthew so rarely went from home that it must be something pressing and unusual which was taking him. He was the shyest man alive and hated to have to go among strangers or to any place where he might have to talk. Matthew, dressed up with a white collar and driving in a buggy, was something that didn't happen very often. Mrs. Rachel, ponder as she might, could make nothing of it, and her afternoon's enjoyment was spoiled. I'll just step over to Green Gables after tea and find out from Marilla where he's gone and why. The worthy woman finally concluded. He doesn't generally go to town this time of year, and he never visits. If he'd run out of turnip seed, he wouldn't dress up and take the buggy to go for more. He wasn't driving fast enough to be going for a doctor. Yet, something must have happened since last night to start him off. I'm clean puzzled, that's what, and I won't know a minute's peace of mind or conscience until I know what has taken Matthew Cuthbert out of Avonlea today. Accordingly, after tea, Mrs. Rachel set out. She had not far to go. The big, rambling, orchard-embowered house where the Cuthberts lived was a scant quarter of a mile up the road from Lynn's Hollow. To be sure, the long lane made it a good deal further. Matthew Cuthbert's father, as shy and as silent as his son after him, had got as far away as he possibly could from his fellow men without actually retreating into the woods when he founded his homestead. Green Gables was built at the furthest edge of his cleared land, and there it was to this day, barely visible from the main road along which all the other Avonlea houses were so sociably situated. Mrs. Rachel Lynde did not call living in such a place living at all. It's just staying, that's what, she said as she stepped along the deep, rutted, grassy lane bordered with wild rose bushes. It's no wonder Matthew and Marilla are both a little odd, living away back here by themselves. Trees aren't much company, though dear knows if they were, there'd be enough of them. I'd rather look at people. To be sure, they seem contented enough, but then, I suppose, they're used to it. A body can get used to anything, even to being hanged, as the Irishman said. With this, Mrs. Rachel stepped out of the lane into the backyard of Green Gables. Very green and neat and precise was that yard, set about on one side with great patriarchal willows, and the other with prim Lombardies. Not a stray stick nor stone was to be seen, or Mrs. Rachel would have seen it if there had been. Privately, she was of the opinion that Marilla Cuthbert swept that yard over as often as she swept her house. One could have eaten a meal off that ground without overbrimming the proverbial peck of dirt. Mrs. Rachel rapped smartly at the kitchen door and stepped in when bidden to do so. The kitchen at Green Gables was a cheerful apartment, or would have been cheerful if it had not been so painfully clean as to give it something of the appearance of an unused parlor. Its windows looked east and west. Through the west one, looking out on the backyard, came a flood of mellow June sunlight. But the east one, when you got a glimpse of the bloom-white cherry trees in the left orchard and nodding, slender birches down in the hollow by the brook, was greened over by a tangle of vines. Here sat Marilla Cuthbert. When she sat at all, always slightly distrustful of sunshine, which seemed to her too dancing and irresponsible a thing for a world which was meant to be taken seriously. And here she sat now, knitting, and the table behind her was laid for supper. Mrs. Rachel, before she had fairly closed the door, had taken a mental note of everything that was on that table. There were 3 plates laid, so that Marilla must be expecting someone home with Matthew to tea. But the dishes were everyday dishes, and there was only crab apple preserves and one kind of cake, so that the expected company could not be any particular company. Yet what of Matthew's white collar and the sorrel mare? Mrs. Rachel was getting fairly dizzy with this unusual mystery about quiet, unmysterious Green Gables. Good evening, Rachel, Marilla said briskly. This is a real fine evening, isn't it? Won't you sit down? How are all your folks? Something that for lack of any other name might be called friendship existed and always had existed between Marilla Cuthbert and Mrs. Rachel, in spite of, or perhaps because of, their dissimilarity. Marilla was a tall, thin woman with angles and without curves. Her dark hair showed some gray streaks and was always twisted up in a hard little knot behind, with 2 wire hairpins stuck aggressively through it. She looked like a woman of narrow experience and rigid conscience, which she was. But there was a saving something about her mouth which, if it had been ever so slightly developed, might have been considered indicative of a sense of humor. We're all pretty well, said Mrs. Rachel. I was kind of afraid you weren't, though, when I saw Matthew starting off today. I thought maybe he was going up to the doctor's. Marilla's lips twitched understandingly. She had expected Mrs. Rachel up. She had known that the sight of Matthew jaunting off so unaccountably would be too much for her neighbor's curiosity. Oh no, I'm quite well, although I had a bad headache yesterday, she said. Matthew went to Bright River. We're getting a little boy from the orphan asylum in Nova Scotia, and he's coming on the train tonight. Okay, I am going to go in here and sleep so that she doesn't die. We're going to stop freezing to death. I'm going to grab a sip of drink. Okay, let's feed her as well. Such cute emotes, I love it. How are we back here? I turned around to walk in a circle. I turned off food poisoning. I turned off sprains so that she wouldn't be alarmed by anything. We made a big circle, we really did. And we're just gonna sleep and get her to warm up and heal up a little bit as needed. Oh, there's an aurora. We could walk into the muskeg. I hope there's no blinking lights too badly. Maybe I'll walk into the area that doesn't have lights. We could walk into the clear cut or something. Must be nice. Turning off sprains is like having super ankles. It really is. Wish you could turn off sprains, right? Is the sound of the aurora too loud and distracting? Because something I could do for the future is just turn off auroras completely. The aurora is louder than you expected. That's what I was wondering. Especially compared to my voice. I don't want it to be overwhelming. I could always turn down the master sound for the aurora. Or I could go past some time until it ends. Like, I think it's really pretty, but I wish it weren't so loud. I wonder if it's the sounds. Maybe I should just turn the sounds down. Oh, did that not even go through when I hit confirm before? It makes you feel woozy. Were you planning this or did Samby give you this idea? Which idea? Because I've been planning to do like reading. And so I've been trying to like come up with a way to do it. Bedtime stories. Yeah, I've been recording some like book audio offline, but I thought like, wouldn't it be nice if there's a way to just like stream it and record it and then post it on YouTube? So it's been something I've been thinking about doing for a long time. And like the idea of doing a Sleepytime stream is like something that I've been kind of pondering for a long time, I would say. All right, there's less stuff to blink over here, so I'm going to carry on with the reading. Where were we? There we go. There it is. If Marilla had said that Matthew had gone to Bright River to meet a kangaroo from Australia, Mrs. Rachel could not have been more astonished. She was actually stricken dumb for 5 seconds. It was unsupposable that Marilla was making fun of her, but Mrs. Rachel was almost forced to suppose it. "Are you in earnest, Marilla?" she demanded when voice returned to her. "Yes, of course," said Marilla, as if getting boys from orphan asylums in Nova Scotia were part of the usual spring work on any well-regulated Avonlea farm, instead of being an unheard-of innovation. Mrs. Rachel felt that she had received a severe mental jolt. She thought in exclamation points, a boy. Marilla and Matthew Cuthbert, of all people, adopting a boy from an orphan asylum. While the world was certainly turning upside down, she would be surprised at nothing after this. Nothing. "What on earth put such a notion into your head?" she demanded disapprovingly. This had been done without her advice being asked, and must perforce be disapproved. "Well, we've been thinking about it for some time, all winter in fact," returned Marilla. "Mrs. Alexander Spencer was up here one day before Christmas, and she said she was going to get a little girl from the asylum over in Hopeton in the spring. Her cousin lives there, and Mrs. Spencer had visited there and knows all about it. So Matthew and I have talked it over off and on ever since. We thought we'd get a boy. Matthew is getting up in years, you know. He's 60, and he isn't so spry as he once was. His heart troubles him a good deal. And you know how desperate hard it's got to be to get hired help. There's never anybody to be had but those stupid, half-grown little French boys, and as soon as you do get one broke into your ways and taught something, he's up and off to the lobster canneries or to the States. At first, Matthew suggested getting a homeboy, but I said no flat to that. They may be all right, I'm not saying they're not, but no London street Arabs for me. I said, give me, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, this is like, what is happening in this book? I'm so sorry. Like, what is this? I want to skip it. Like, it feels like really like, wait, what? Like, what? What is this? You're so confused. Why are they talking about like racist things? It feels understand. She's breaking. She's breaking. Just skip it. Just skip it. Okay. Okay, you're reading it too. Okay. I'm gonna skip that line at least. It's an old book, just don't think about it. Okay. Oh god. The homeboy line like made me laugh though in my head. Cat's losing it in ASMR. It was not something you had on your bingo card tonight. Yeah, you're just reading it exactly. Okay. I'm gonna skip like one line at least. The crackling? No. The crackling is back. Your mood is affecting the crackles. Uh-oh. 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 I hope it goes away soon. Let's just chat on the pause screen then for a minute and see if it goes away. Because I shifted a couple things around. Maybe it's, let me like readjust and check my cables. Because one of my cables did come loose earlier. Check all my cables. Check all the cables. Checking all the cables. Better be careful with those uh-ohs or T-Swizzles. Lawyers will come calling for copyright infringement. I'm trying to figure out how I can sing high pitched without like being too loud. I'm gonna record some of your crackles to see if Audacity can repair it. That would be huge. That would be so huge for me, Golden. Like, because if there's a way to just like run it through something that can like just the crackles, that would be amazing. Can you try and disconnect, reconnect the controller? I mean, yeah, since it's already crackling, we may as well try. That's a good call. It's a good call. Zambi did have a good point earlier, though. She had me run like an update on my controller, so that did need to be updated earlier. I'm gonna reconnect the mic. We're just gonna reconnect everything. I'm gonna unplug, replug, reset everything. Okay. All right. How's it going? I'm looking at the waveform. The crackles are flat spots in the waveform. Oh, interesting. You posted an image in Discord. I appreciate it. Thank you. Hi. Hi. The crackle shows up as dead air. I can hear you and there are no pops and crackles. Okay, what I did was I undid the battery. When the battery was out, I unplugged the mic, like the USB connection on the mic. I unplugged it from the Xbox, plugged it back in, and then I put the batteries in the controller back in. So like if we can come up with a reliable way to reset it, that's like literally all I want. I'm gonna have a sip though. Okay, so as long as we consistently have like no, it's a lot of things, yeah, but I mean, it's pretty simple. It's like unplug, it's like take away the power from the controller, take away the power from the mic, and then repower it basically. What's this book about? It's Anne of Avonlea. It's about Anne of Green Gables is about Anne. So we haven't even met the main character. So right now we've met what's her face? I the funny thing about when I'm reading out loud is I don't process the information I don't take it in at the same way. But Mrs. Rachel, she's like the neighborhood busybody lady. Marilla Cuthbert, she's like a main character. And so she's gonna be Anne's mom, like adopted mom. But Anne and Matthew Cuthbert, they're brother and sister, and they're both like spinsters and bachelor basically. So you were wondering, oh no, the terrible neighbor is not the main character. No, no, no. Anne's the main character. It's just we're seeing it like outside of her perspective or whatever. You feel like you're back in a high school class. But if the popping and stuff is gone, I'm gonna re-record this most recent paragraph. I wish I knew the last name of the boys. Because I'm going to try to censor it. I'm going to try to read it and censor it. If Katz was Canadian, she would get paid by the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation for reading this. They love their adaptations of Anne of Green Gables. Welcome in, Tris. Is it do you think it's should I have contacted the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation? Should I try to get sponsored? And then maybe I could use this as an application to become Canadian. And they'd be like, oh yeah, we'll let you in. This is good. But yeah. I've watched a couple of adaptations of Anne of Green Gables. I need to decide how I'm going to censor this. You should marry a Canadian first. Oh. I wish I knew, but where to find one? I don't know. You want to move to Canada? Not gonna lie. I know. I would move to Canada in a heartbeat, for real. Slowly raises hand. Is Tris proposing to me? Is Tris proposing to me right now? Oh, right, you. Is this a proposal? I bet you can find one in Alaska. Oh my goodness. A Canadian. There probably are some. Canada. I want Gingy to adopt me. If Gingy adopts me, can I move to Canada? Tris has asked on so many occasions, has he? Cute. Can you adopt adults? I don't know. Maybe they can make an exception. I know. And I think that Gingy's even younger than me, so you wonder what. Consider yourself adopted. Thank you. I'm good at cooking, Gingy, so I can cook for you. I'll earn my keep. Cats, it would be an honor if you adopted me. Oh, I would adopt you, Potato. I would adopt you. Wow, Gingy. You can come over for dinner, I'm assuming, Triz. Gingy will adopt me, and then I'll adopt Potato. You can become the legal guardian of an adult that's close enough. There you go. There you go. I'm trying to decide how I should censor this paragraph. Am I allowed to say French boys? Am I allowed to say homeboy? See, this language is so old. You want to be adopted now? I'll adopt you too, but I'm not a good adult, so you probably don't want me to adopt you. All right, I'm just gonna do my best. I'm gonna do my best to on the fly edit this paragraph. Are you adopting BB-8 too? Yeah, you're do it. And then we can all move to Canada and get free healthcare. Good thing you aren't reading Huckleberry Finn Hunter. Is it problematic? I've never read it. But it's from a problematic era where I would expect things to be problematic. That is an issue with older public domain books. Is because they're old, I might run into issues. But I also don't want to go to the effort of reading in advance what I'm going to be reading because I'm lazy. So maybe I should read ahead. But this is one of the hiccups. This is one of the hiccups that we're going to be working on, and we're going to figure things out. Of Mice and Men banned book. If it's an old book, just expect there to be something racist or misogynistic in there somewhere. Oh, plug it into ChatGPT and make it safe to read. Oh, that's such a good call because I could just do it for this paragraph. Okay, is it just chatgpt.com? I've gone to it before, but there it is. Okay, that worked. Your session has expired. Okay, log in. Please remember my login. Otherwise, I'm going to sign up for something new, I guess. Oh, don't make me do this. Oh, why do I have to log in? The book is gonna get me canceled. Oh, you've never actually used it. According to ChatGPT, adult adoption is a real thing. You were not expecting this. Oh my goodness. Yes, just use a securely generated password. Thank you. Save it. Update, yes. Please just let me in. Fine, I'll use a different email. Continue with Google. Okay, I hope this doesn't. I have a decent book collection. If you want some book ideas, let me know. Just specify genre or you'll be given mainly horror books. We can do horror books during spooky season. Keep making me laugh. Remember, everything said from this book is Kat's opinion and is endorsed by though. So tell us about the French voice cats. Oh my god. That's why she chose it. That's why she chose it. Oh my god. Chat, you're out of control. Okay, let's see. Okay, ChatGPT, can you rewrite this paragraph? Just replacing problematic terms. Okay, I have to tell it which ones are problematic. Or is it gonna know? let me look at this. I don't know. I think I'll just like... It's a cat's opinion, not cat's opinion. And said cat is from 1990. You would suggest Roger Zelazny, but it has some steamy bits. I guess like mildly steamy could be okay, but if it's like steamy, maybe that's a bit much. Hearing you whisper laugh is the funniest thing in the world. Oh my god. I vote for steamy reads from cats for reasons. Every other word is problematic and the message is problematic. Problematic paragraphs 1 through 800. Yeah. I should probably just skip most of it. I'll say there's never anybody. I think I'm gonna skip most of it. I'm gonna skip from we've been thinking about it, blah, blah, blah. There's never, and then it's hard to get hired help. Skip everything after that. And then in the end, we decided to ask Mrs. Spencer. I'm just gonna skip about 3 sentences at least in there. I think it'll be okay. I think that's gonna be the plan. We're just gonna skip. Dear ChatGPT, please rewrite this book so I don't get canceled. Okay, I'm gonna just skip about a solid 3 sentences at least in there. I also think Alice in Wonderland is a great story for no reason whatsoever. So fun fact, Alice in Wonderland is the book that I'm recording offline. So I have recorded the first 2 chapters, and then the 3rd chapter I recorded it, but I didn't know how to pronounce a couple of the words in it. And so I kind of messed it up, so I need to re-record it. At least re-record part of it. Your father-in-law asked what you wanted for Christmas, so you told him a copy of his favorite book. No idea what's on its way. Ooh. But yeah, I would love recommendations. And for the time being, I think I'm sticking with like the public domain books. Because like, I don't know how copyright works if you like read a book. Because like, we could have just read like Britney Spears' memoir, which is the book that I still haven't finished. But like, we could read that. But like, I don't know if we can read like current books. The thing is like, I'm sure it's fine if I read it on Twitch. Because Twitch is like looser about things, I guess. Because it's live. But then like, if I post it to YouTube, I don't know if it then becomes a problem, right? Like, just as a note, a public domain book that is rewritten has copyright. Interesting. So if I rewrite it by omitting 3 sentences, does that mean that I own the copyright now? Cats is the author now. Do I own it now? Yes, okay. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. I don't think any automated systems will flag you on YouTube for reading out loud. Somebody would need to manually claim it. Okay, interesting. So if I didn't put Britney Spears' memoir in the title, then like nobody would find it. But that means an ebook like the one on the page you linked has copyright. Oh, okay. Okay, interesting. All right. Well, let's carry back on with it. Let me stretch a little bit though. I'm going to reread the paragraph. I'm going to skip a few sentences in there. All right, let's do this. If ChatGPT rewrites it, then is it a derived work? Oh, that's an interesting question. Let's not get into it. Yeah, we're just gonna skip over it. I should probably read about copyright more, but again, it's just another thing that we're gonna have to figure out over time. All right. Well, we've been thinking about it for some time. All winter, in fact, returned Marilla. Mrs. Alexander Spencer was up here one day before Christmas, and she said she was going to go get a little girl from the asylum over in Hopeton in the spring. Her cousin lives there, and Mrs. Spencer has visited here and knows all about it. So Matthew and I have talked it over off and on ever since. We thought we'd get a boy. Matthew's getting up in years, he's 60, and he isn't so spry as he once was. His heart troubles him a good deal. And you know how desperate hard it's got to be to get hired help. There'll be a risk no matter who we get. But in the end, we decided to ask Mrs. Spencer to pick us out one when she went over to get her little girl. We heard last week she was going, so we sent her word by Richard Spencer's folks at Carmody to bring us a smart, likely boy of about 10 or 11. We decided that would be the best age. Old enough to be of some use in doing chores right off, and young enough to be trained up proper. We mean to give him a good home and schooling. We had a telegram from Mrs. Alexander Spencer today. The mailman brought it from the station, saying they were coming on the 5:30 train tonight. So Matthew went to Bright River to meet him. Mrs. Spencer will drop him off there. Of course, she goes on to the White Sands station herself. Mrs. Rachel prided herself on always speaking her mind. She proceeded to speak it now, having adjusted her mental attitude to this amazing piece of news. Well, Marilla, I'll just tell you plain that I think you're doing a mighty foolish thing, a risky thing, that's what. You don't know what you're getting. You're bringing a strange child into your house and home, and you don't know a single thing about him, nor what his disposition is, nor what sort of parents he had, nor how he's likely to turn out. Why, it was only last week I read in the paper how a man and his wife up west of the island took a boy out of an orphan asylum, and he set fire to the house at night. Set it on purpose, Marilla, and nearly burnt them to a crisp in their beds. And I know another case where an adopted boy used to suck the eggs. They couldn't break him of it. If you had asked my advice in the matter, which you didn't do, Marilla, I'd have said for mercy's sake not to think of such a thing, that's what. I'm a little concerned that I might be falling off a cliff here. I thought this was a hill that we were gonna go around. There we go. The job's comforting seemed neither to offend nor to alarm Marilla. She knitted steadily on. I'm just trying to find the path back here to the cabin and stuff. How many syllables in Mrs. Alexander Spencer provide? Hi, Swift. Welcome in. Hello. Doing some cozy time reading tonight. All right. I'm reading Anne of Green Gables also. And I have the link to the book if anybody wants to read along. It's here. I hope you're having a good day so far. All right, let's carry on. This job's comforting seemed neither to offend nor to alarm Marilla. She knitted steadily on. I don't deny there's something in what you say, Rachel. I've had some qualms myself, but Matthew was terrible set on it. I could see that, so I gave in. It's so seldom Matthew sets his mind on anything that when he does, I always feel it's my duty to give in. And as for the risk, there's risks in pretty near everything a body does in this world. There's risks in people's having children of their own if it comes to that. They don't always turn out well. And then Nova Scotia is right close to the island. It isn't as if we're getting him from England or the States. He can't be much different from ourselves. Well, I hope it will turn out all right, said Mrs. Rachel in a tone that plainly indicated her painful doubt. Only don't say I didn't warn you if he burns Green Gables down or puts strychnine in the well. I heard of a case over in New Brunswick where an orphan asylum child did that, and the whole family died in fearful agonies. Only it was a girl in that instance. Well, we're not getting a girl, said Marilla, as if poisoning wells were a purely feminine accomplishment and not to be dreaded in the case of a boy. I'd never dream of taking a girl to bring up. I wonder at Mrs. Alexander Spencer for doing it, but there, she wouldn't shrink from adopting a whole orphan asylum if she took it into her head. No king shaming. Sucking eggs. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is. I have no idea. I have no idea what sucking eggs is. Oh my goodness. All right, carrying on. Okay, I'm gonna grab a sip. Yeah, I think I'll do a playlist of unedited versions and then like a playlist where I cut out all the pause breaks. And I think that's how I'm gonna do it. Because I'm gonna use the pause breaks as just a way to like break from it. Sure. I don't know what it means. Wait, Tris, is it a Canadian thing? Is it like something that Canadian people do? What is it? I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I know the expression I'll break you from sucking eggs means I'll teach you a lesson in a kind of don't let your mouth write a check your ass can't catch cash kind of way. Tris, don't give away our secret. Gingy, you should post photos of your crochet in the Creative Kittens in the Discord. In that sense, break is used like breaking a bronco. Oh, I'll break you from that. Gotcha. All right, let's see. I'm going to have to make a special channel in the Discord where... What are you doing streaming? Nice. Hi, Philip. Welcome in. We're doing a Sleepytime stream. I'm just doing like some soft-spoken reading and I'm pausing while I'm catching up with chat. Oh, you're currently wrestling Lady Nibbler for your yarn back. Oh my goodness. Lady Nibbler. I love it. I know that you have 6 that live in the house, and I wonder, there's Lady Nibbler. What's the one? I can't remember all their names. But yeah, I'll probably do this on the nights that my roommate goes to her girlfriend's house. So Tuesday nights, she has a nice consistent schedule at her new job. So Tuesday nights I'll be able to do this. And the nice thing is because it's just like quiet and chill, it doesn't matter if I have a headache, I can just do it. So Tuesday nights, and then weekend nights. So maybe twice a week, Tuesday nights and then Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. So hopefully we'll be able to do at least 2 nights a week and just a little change of pace. Lady Nibbler, Lucy, Pluto, Blueberry, and Bendy. Bendy was the one that I was thinking of, that I couldn't remember it. But Bendy got out last night, so you've been a wreck today. No, Bendy, no. Little devil, you hate headaches. Yeah, I just get them like very frequently, especially ever since I had COVID last year, I think. I think it was last year. Last year I got COVID in the springtime. And after I had COVID, I had headaches for like 2 months straight every single day. And then they eventually started subsiding. You get them like once a week. Yeah. So they started subsiding, but since having COVID, I've gotten them more frequently than I used to. And I've always had headaches. And I'll get them definitely like once a month for sure. And then like a few days because I'll get migraines. But then I'll get like random other ones just with like sinus pressure and everything. You still cough and you had COVID over a year ago. Yeah. So it's been over a year for me too. And it seems like the headaches are like that lingering thing. I'm sorry that you still get coughs from it. That sucks. All right. Carry on. Which paragraph did I leave? There it was. All right. Also, like learning to keep my place in the reading and like having to glance back and forth in the game and everything. Like, I think I'll get a hang of this and get pretty good at it. But like, maybe it's because it's soft spoken. I thought that like the steady reading might be a little bit more challenging for my voice, but like I'm actually keeping up with it pretty well. So if I can go for like 2 hours, that would be good. Especially since I'm gonna end up editing it. All right, I'm gonna have a couple sips and then we'll carry on. Mrs. Alexander Spencer. Oh my goodness. All right, let's carry on. Mrs. Rachel would have liked to stay until Matthew came home with his imported orphan, but reflecting that it would be a good 2 hours at least before his arrival, she concluded to go up the road to Robert Bell's and tell the news. It would certainly make a sensation second to none, and Mrs. Rachel dearly loved to make a sensation. So she took herself away, somewhat to Marilla's relief, for the latter felt her doubts and fears reviving under the influence of Mrs. Rachel's pessimism. Well, of all things that ever were or will be, ejaculated Mrs. Rachel when she was safely out in the lane. It really does seem as if I must be dreaming. Well, I'm sorry for that poor young one and no mistake. Matthew and Marilla don't know anything about children, and they'll expect him to be wiser and steadier than his own grandfather. If so be he's ever had a grandfather, which is doubtful. It seems uncanny to think of a child at Green Gables somehow. There's never been one there, for Matthew and Marilla were grown up when the new house was built. If they ever were children, which is hard to believe when one looks at them. I wouldn't be in that orphan's shoes for anything. My, but I pity him, that's what. So said Mrs. Rachel to the wild rose bushes out of the fullness of her heart. But if she could have seen the child who was waiting patiently at the Bright River station at that very moment, her pity would have been still deeper and more profound. Ooh, we're at chapter 2. Chapter 2, Matthew Cuthbert is surprised. Matthew Cuthbert and the sorrel mare jogged comfortably over the 8 miles to Bright River. It was a pretty road running along between snug farmsteads, with now and again a bit of balsamy fir wood to drive through or a hollow where wild plums hung out their filmy bloom. The air was sweet with the breath of many apple orchards, and the meadows sloped away in the distance to horizon mists of pearl and purple, while the little birds sang as if it were the one day of summer in all the year. Matthew enjoyed the drive after his own fashion, except during the moments when he met women and had to nod to them. For in Prince Edward Island, you are supposed to nod to all and sundry you meet on the road, whether you know them or not. Matthew dreaded all women except Marilla and Mrs. Rachel. He had an uncomfortable feeling that the mysterious creatures were secretly laughing at him. He may have been quite right in thinking so, for he was an odd-looking personage with an ungainly figure and long iron gray hair that touched his stooping shoulders, and a full, soft brown beard which he had worn ever since he was 20. In fact, he had looked at 20 very much as he looked at 60, lacking a little of the grayness. When he reached Bright River, there was no sign of any train. He thought he was too early, so he tied his horse in the yard of the small Bright River Hotel and went over to the station house. The long platform was almost deserted, the only living creature in sight being a girl who was sitting on a pile of shingles at the extreme end. Matthew, barely noting that it was a girl, sidled past her as quickly as possible without looking at her. Had he looked, he could hardly have failed to notice the tense rigidity and expectation of her attitude and expression. She was sitting there waiting for something or somebody. And since sitting and waiting were the only thing to do just then, she sat and waited with all her might and main. Matthew encountered the station master locking up the ticket office preparatory to go home for supper, and asked him if the 5:30 train would soon be along. The 5:30 train has been in and gone half an hour ago, answered that brisk official. But there was a passenger dropped off for you. A little girl. She's sitting out there on the shingles. I asked her to go into the ladies' waiting room, but she informed me gravely that she preferred to stay outside. There was more scope for imagination, she said. She's a case, I should say. I'm not expecting a girl, said Matthew blankly. It's a boy I've come for. He should be here. Mrs. Alexander Spencer was to bring him over from Nova Scotia for me. The station master whistled. Oh my God, why can't I say those words? The station master whistled. Guess there's some mistake, he said. Mrs. Spencer came off the train with that girl and gave her into my charge. Said you and your sister were adopting her from an orphan asylum and that you would be along for her presently. That's all I know about it. And I haven't got any more orphans concealed hereabouts. I don't understand, said Matthew helplessly, wishing that Marilla was at hand to cope with the situation. Well, you'd better question the girl, said the station master carelessly. I dare say she'll be able to explain. She's got a tongue of her own, that's certain. Maybe they were out of boys of the brand you wanted. Welp, are we crackling? Are we crackling? Get nervous. I get nervous. Oh, you were responding to the story. Okay. I just get so paranoid. I get so paranoid. It's okay though, because I need like a sip, so it's fine. I don't mind taking a break here and there. I need a sip. Maybe they were out of boys for the brand you wanted. Nice one, yeah. You're dead ass falling asleep. That's perfect. That's what this is for. That's the vibe. If you fall asleep, that's good. It's a compliment. All right, we'll carry on. Where did I pause? Maybe they were out of boys of the brand you wanted. Yeah. Oh, good. Mutton too. What brand were you looking for? I think. You think it'd be better without the Aurora next time? Okay. That's a good note. We'll leave it for this one, but I think future ones we can turn the Aurora off. Plus, that makes it safer for like I've tried to avoid the blinking areas, but like the Aurora, I wasn't certain about it because of like the blinking and stuff. So we'll do it without the Aurora next time. All right. He walked jauntily away, being hungry, and the unfortunate Matthew was left to do that which was harder for him than bearding a lion in its den. Walk up to a girl, a strange girl, an orphan girl, and demand of her why she wasn't a boy. Matthew groaned in spirit as he turned about and shuffled gently down the platform towards her. She had been watching him ever since he had passed her, and she had her eyes on him now. Matthew was not looking at her and would not have seen what she was really like if he had been, but an ordinary observer would have seen this. A child of about 11, garbed in a very short, very tight, very ugly dress of yellowish gray wincey. She wore a faded brown sailor hat, and beneath the hat, extending down her back, were two braids of very thick, decidedly red hair. Her face was small, white, and thin, also much freckled. Her mouth was large, and so were her eyes, which looked green in some lights and moods, and gray in others. Hi, Jonathan. Welcome in, raiders. Hello. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in. Hello. How did your stream go? What were you playing today? The Bridge Curse Road to Salvation. Welcome in. Thank you. Tonight we're doing a bit of a different type of a stream. We're doing a soft-spoken reading stream tonight, but welcome in and thank you so much. I'm glad to have you here. Let's see. I've got a couple of current book. Thank you, Alice. I appreciate it. We're reading Anne of Green Gables. So we're having a little sleepy time stream. It was a wild game, super scary, ready to relax. Oh, excellent, excellent. Thank you. I love a scary game. Jonathan is a fan of some of the emotes that I've worked on for Potato. I'm going to emote really quickly. I'm going to have some dancing potatoes. There we go. I love them so much. I didn't draw the potato, but I drew the potato's costumes. And I animated those emotes, so I love them. They're so cute. They're so happy. I love them. They're so great. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like them. All right, we will carry on with the book. oriented where I'm not going to run into some trees for a minute. So far, the ordinary observer, an extraordinary observer might have seen that the chin was very pointed and pronounced, that the big eyes were full of spirit and vivacity, that the mouth was sweet-lipped and expressive, that the forehead was broad and full. In short, our discerning, extraordinary observer might have concluded that no commonplace soul inhabited the body of this stray woman-child of whom shy Matthew Cuthbert was so ludicrously afraid. Matthew, however, was spared the ordeal of speaking first, for as soon as she concluded that he was coming to her, she stood up, grasping with one thin brown hand the handle of a shabby old-fashioned carpet bag. The other she held out to him. "I suppose you are Mr. Matthew Cuthbert of Green Gables?" she said in a peculiarly clear, sweet voice. "I'm very glad to see you. I was beginning to be afraid you weren't coming for me, and I was imagining all the things that might have happened to prevent you. I had made up my mind that if you didn't come for me tonight, I'd go down the track to that big wild cherry tree at the bend and climb up into it to stay all night. I wouldn't be a bit afraid, and it would be lovely to sleep in a wild cherry tree all white with bloom in the moonshine, don't you think? You could imagine you were dwelling in marble halls, couldn't you? And I was quite sure you would come for me in the morning if you didn't tonight." Matthew had taken the scrawny little hand awkwardly in his. Then and there he decided what to do. He could not tell this child with the glowing eyes that there had been a mistake. He would take her home and let Marilla do that. She couldn't be left at Bright River anyhow, no matter what mistake had been made. So all questions and explanations might as well be deferred until he was safely back at Green Gables. "I'm sorry I was late," he said shyly. "Come along. The horse is over in the yard. Give me your bag." "Oh, I can carry it," the child responded cheerfully. "It isn't very heavy. I've got all my worldly goods in it." But it isn't heavy. And if it isn't carried in just a certain way, the handle pulls out. So I'd better keep it because I know the exact knack of it. It's an extremely old carpet bag. "Oh, I'm very glad you've come, even if it would have been nice to sleep in a wild cherry tree. We've got to drive a long piece, haven't we?" Mrs. Spencer said it was 8 miles. "I'm glad because I love driving. Oh, it seems so wonderful that I'm going to live with you and belong to you. I've never belonged to anybody, not really. The asylum was the worst. I've only been in it 4 months, but that was enough. I don't suppose you ever were an orphan in an asylum, so you can't possibly understand what it's like. It's worse than anything you could imagine." Mrs. Spencer said it was wicked of me to talk like that, but I didn't mean to be wicked. It's so easy to be wicked without knowing it, isn't it? They were good, you know, the asylum people. But there is so little scope for the imagination in an asylum, only just in the other orphans. It was pretty interesting to imagine things about them, to imagine that perhaps the girl who sat next to you was really the daughter of a belted earl who had been stolen away from her parents in her infancy by a cruel nurse who died before she could confess. I used to lie awake at night and imagine things like that because I didn't have time in the day. I guess that's why I'm so thin. I am dreadful thin, aren't I? There isn't a pick on my bones. I do love to imagine I'm nice and plump with dimples in my elbows. Hi, Tidy. Welcome in. Hi, Corpse Roller. You like this, girl? Oh, I thought you would. This is lovely. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad you're enjoying it. By the way, I'm going to be posting everything to this new YouTube account that I've made. So the VOD is going to be up, and I'm going to do an edited version of it where I cut out all the pause breaks and everything for a more continuous sound. So if you want to go ahead and sub over there, then you'll be able to watch the VODs. And I'm going to highlight these VODs as well and make a collection. So the highlighted VODs are going to be, you know, the whole thing without any editing. But it'll give you some options. Don't forget to keep an eye on the temperature of your character. Oh, good point. You're right. I saw the thing come up. It's a little bit like, I think that might still be a thing. Yes, definitely, because it is Pilgrim, but you're right. I should probably run over to camp office and grab a sleep. I think we're close to there. Maybe I should just take a minute, and I think we're close to there. Okay. I will read a paragraph while she freezes a little bit. With this, Matthew's companion stopped talking, partly because she was out of breath, and partly because they had reached the buggy. Not another word did she say until they had left the village and were driving down a steep little hill, the road part of which had been cut so deeply into the soft soil that the banks, fringed with blooming wild cherry trees and slim white birches, were several feet above their heads. The child put out her hand and broke off a branch of wild plum that brushed against the side of the buggy. Isn't that beautiful? What did that tree leaning out from the bank, all white and lacy, make you think of? She asked. Well, now, I don't know, said Matthew. All right, we are going to go inside and sleep so that we don't freeze to death. We'll go back in and warm up. We'll be able to see inside, luckily. The aurora might be over by the time we get up. The buffer memory is interesting. Suggests adaptation to the new seasonal high temperatures. Recommend further study to confirm shift in migration. Previous observations confirm their presence. I am glad though that it's gonna be a little bit brighter. I turned off the wolves and stuff so that there wouldn't be like random wolf sounds of them running away. All right, we'll feed her and then we'll sleep. You could even make it into an MP3 file and then post it on Audible. Oh. See, I hadn't thought about Audible at all. I didn't realize that Audible had like user created stuff. That dinosaur is so cute. I love it. I love dinosaurs. I didn't realize that anybody could upload to Audible. Because I was wondering about that, like making like a SoundCloud. Isn't that like a running joke? Like, check out my SoundCloud. Oh, she only needs a few hours of sleep. But it'll warm us all the way up. All right, I think I'll use matches to get back outside. I should maybe try to walk over to Trappers so that we can loot something else to help keep our character alive, and maybe like I'm gonna see if there's any other loose objects because I would like her to be a little bit slower. I think like a slower pace might sound nice. If we weigh her down a little bit, she'll be heavier. And we've been drinking water and stuff like that, so she's been getting a little bit lighter here and there as well. Did we leave anything else in any of the containers? I could break down a chair. Oh, there's the mag lens that BB-8 was talking about. Let's tear up this chair. Love it when your browser crashes. Oh no. Maglens. There we go. Now we can be a little heavier. Alright, I think I will walk over to Trappers and we'll loot that while I read another paragraph. Okay, she is getting cold. Alright, this is a long paragraph. So Anne just asked Matthew what the tree branch reminds her of. Why, a bride, of course, a bride all in white with a lovely misty veil. I've never seen one, but I can imagine what she would look like. I don't ever expect to be a bride myself. I'm so homely, nobody will ever want to marry me, unless it might be a foreign missionary. I suppose a foreign missionary mightn't be very particular. But I do hope that someday I shall have a white dress. That is my highest ideal of earthly bliss. I just love pretty clothes, and I've never had a pretty dress in my life that I can remember. But of course, it's all the more to look forward to, isn't it? And then I can imagine that I'm dressed gorgeously. This morning when I left the asylum, I felt so ashamed because I had to wear this horrid old wincey dress. All the orphans had to wear them, you know. A merchant in Hopeton last winter donated 300 yards of wincey to the asylum. Some people said it was because he couldn't sell it, but I'd rather believe that it was out of the kindness of his heart, wouldn't you? When we got on the train, I felt as if everybody must be looking at me and pitying me. But I just went to work and I imagined that I had on the most beautiful pale blue silk dress. Because when you are imagining, you might as well imagine something worthwhile. And a big hat, all flowers and nodding plumes, and a gold watch, and kid gloves and boots. I felt cheered up right away, and I enjoyed my trip to the island with all my might. I wasn't a bit sick coming over in the boat. Neither was Mrs. Spencer, although she generally is. She said she hadn't time to get sick, watching to see that I didn't fall overboard. She said she never saw the beat of me for prowling about. But if it kept her from being seasick, it's a mercy I did prowl, isn't it? And I wanted to see everything that was to be seen on that boat, because I didn't know whether I'd ever have another opportunity. Oh, there are a lot more cherry trees all in bloom. This island is the bloomiest place. I just love it already. And I'm so glad I'm going to live here. I've always heard that Prince Edward Island was the prettiest place in the world, and I used to imagine I was living here, but I never really expected I would. It's delightful when your imaginations come true, isn't it? But those red roads are so funny. When we got into the train at Charlottetown and the red roads began to flash past, I asked Mrs. Spencer what made them red. And she said she didn't know, and for pity's sake, not to ask her any more questions. She decided I must have asked her 1,000 already. I suppose I had to. But how are you going to find out about things if you don't ask questions? And what does make the roads so red? Well now, I don't know, said Matthew. Well, that is one of the things to find out sometime. Isn't it splendid to think of all the things there are to find out about? Just makes me feel glad to be alive. It's such an interesting world. It wouldn't be half so interesting if we know all about everything, wouldn't it? There'd be no scope for imagination then, would there? But am I talking too much? People are always telling me I do. Would you rather I didn't talk? If you say so, I'll stop. I can stop when I make up my mind to, although it's difficult. All right, I don't think I have enough time to finish another paragraph before we get inside, so. A tree branch reminds her of a bride. Yeah, because it's, I think it sounds like they're like the, like cherry blossom or plum blossom, some kind of blossoming tree, yeah. A tree branch with white, yeah, because they're like white flowers, maybe. It had wild plum on it. You can see how that reminds you of a bride's dress, yeah. This girl is awesome. Oh, I thought you'd like her. So you've really never read it, Alice? I guess you're younger. And, okay, we're gonna be light for a second. Warning. Cause, oh, missed him. Link was saying that it's a millennial. What was the word? I guess it's just kind of typical for millennials to have read this book, apparently. Let's go ahead and loot the safe. Oh, 35, 36 maybe. It's an American book. It might be, I think it might be Canadian. Well, it's written about Canada, right? So I'm actually not sure if the author is Canadian. I guess I always assumed it was Canadian, but yeah, I guess it's more common here. In Canada, probably. Oh, 35, so 17, maybe. It's not a book that you ever heard about in the Netherlands. Oh, right. Yeah, there are probably translations, I would assume, because it's such an old book. 35. 18. We'll go slowly. Hey, Goose. Welcome back. Are you gonna be cozy? Oh, our lantern went out, but at least we found a new one. Oops, I think it was 8, maybe. Alright, let's do this. 35. And I think it was 18. And then 8. So all the way back around. Goose has decided that she's not going to lay on my lap, but she's going to lay on the blanket that's next to me. There we go. Oh, Muckluck's lovely. There's a lot of books out there. That's very true. That's very true. It's one of those things that I guess I just like never thought about it. I am going to carry on with like holding all the heavy objects. So we can get heavy and be a little bit slower paced of the walking. You were more a fan of fiction either way, to be fair. Oh yeah, it's funny when I read, I think I like nonfiction. Like I've been enjoying like memoirs. Like I read Padma Lakshmi's memoir. I really liked that one. Okay, it looks like we have our warmest clothes on. Oh, this is nice. This will help us be heavy. There we go. That's good stuff. Sewing kit. have a pry bar, that's okay. Okay, we may as well sleep to, well, I guess we've warmed up all the way just from like being inside, so we'll carry on. Because if we can get tired, that would actually be probably good. All right, let's go ahead and go back outside. I like the look of the snow. I think it's pretty. I'll try to aim myself and then I'll carry on with another paragraph. You bet this girl would be an amazing scientist, I agree. All right. Matthew, much to his own surprise, was enjoying himself. Like most quiet folks, he liked talkative people when they were willing to do the talking themselves and did not expect him to keep up his end of it. But he had never expected to enjoy the society of a little girl. Women were bad enough in all conscience, but little girls were worse. He detested the way they had of sidling past him timidly with sidewise glances, as if they expected him to gobble them up at a mouthful if they ventured to say a word. That was the Avonlea type of well-bred little girl. But this freckled witch was very different, and although he found it rather difficult for his slower intelligence to keep up with her brisk mental processes, he thought that he kind of liked her chatter. So he said, as shyly as usual, "Oh, you can talk as much as you like. I don't mind." "Oh, I'm so glad. I know you and I are going to get along together fine. It's such a relief to talk when one wants to, and not be told that children should be seen and not heard. I've had that said to me 1,000,000 times if I have once. And people laugh at me because I use big words. But if you have big ideas, you have to use big words to express them, haven't you?" "Well, now, that seems reasonable," said Matthew. "Hi, Musa. Cats After Dark. Yes, we're doing a Sleepytime stream. I'm reading Anne of Green Gables, and we're doing like a super cozy sleepy stream. Welcome in, though. It's so lovely to see you. And I have a link to the lovely, it sounds amazing. Oh, thank you. That's a link to the what do you call it? Like the ebook, I guess, that we're reading if you want to read along. And that's a link to the version that I'm reading, but they do have like ebooks and different versions of it. This is so nice. Thank you, cats. Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Tidy. It's something like I've kind of talked about doing something similar to this for a long time, and I was like, just do it. Just do it. So hopefully I'll be able to do it a couple times a week when my roommate's at her girlfriend's house for the night. I'm just gonna grab a sip. Actually, I could kind of want to top up my water a little bit, but oh, I have the water right here. What am I doing? So yeah, I'm gonna be building a YouTube channel just of these type of VODs and edited VODs. Oh, she claws the corner of the couch. I don't know if you guys can hear it. You're force feeding yourself so you can take your meds. Oh, damn. You know, I read recently something really interesting that there was this whole study about how when you eat food that you actually enjoy, you actually get more nutrition out of it. And I thought that was like a really interesting. You heard nothing. Okay, so you didn't hear the clawing. Okay. I figured it was kind of out of range, but I'm never certain. And I feel like when I'm on the Xbox, it also picks up less Like when I'm recording straight to my laptop, it picks up like way more. All right, I'm gonna carry on. Sweet, more nutritious ice cream. Exactly. If you enjoy the ice cream, it's more nutritious. You get more nutritional value out of it. Yeah, or pizza. Exactly. If you're enjoying it, you're getting more value out of it. You heard the crackling? Oh no. Okay, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait and see. Because if I need to reset, the audio just decided to do a crack. Okay. Tell me if we get another crackling, because it might have just been me picking up the controller. But I really appreciate the alerts. Is it still crackling? It's doing crack, damn it. Yeah, don't do crack. Don't do crack microphones. It's been studied for a while. Some people theorize that the bacteria in our guts. Okay, it's good. Okay. The bacteria in our guts help determine what foods people like. So if they help digest foods, more bacteria will help get more nutrients out. So like the bacteria, gut bacteria control so much. Oh my goodness. Let's see, it's 10:55 for me. I'm probably gonna want to end by like 11:30-ish. So that I can eat like a little bit more before I go to bed. Also, ice cream is about as good of a probiotic supplement as yogurt for some reason, but it sounds ridiculous, so no one talks about it. Yeah. If you're vegan, they are too. That's true. Yeah, our gut bacteria vegan. Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. That's true. That's true. Humans are vegan. Yeah. Don't worry, I take supplements. I take supplements. I take B. Oh. I see what you're saying. Humans contain meat. Oh god. I never thought about it like that. We do. We do contain meat. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, which ones? I think I was at, well, now that seems reasonable, so I'll reread that line. It was yummy. Oh my goodness. Well, now that seems reasonable, said Matthew. Mrs. Spencer said that my tongue must be hung in the middle, but it isn't. It's firmly fastened at one end. Mrs. Spencer said your place was named Green Gables. I asked her all about it, and she said there were trees all around it. I was gladder than ever. I just love trees. And there weren't any at all about the asylum. Only a few poor, weeny, teeny things out in front with little whitewashed, cagey things about them. They just looked like orphans themselves, those trees did. It used to make me want to cry to look at them. I used to say to them, "Oh, you poor little things. If you were out in a great big woods with other trees all around you and little mosses and June bells growing over your roots and a brook not far away and birds singing in your branches, you could grow, couldn't you? But you can't where you are. I know just exactly how you feel, little trees. I felt sorry to leave them behind this morning. You do get so attached to things like that, don't you? Is there a brook anywhere near Green Gables? I forgot to ask Mrs. Spencer that. Well, now, yes, there's one right below the house. Fancy. It's always been one of my dreams to live near a brook. I never expected I would, though. Dreams don't often come true, do they? Wouldn't it be nice if they did? But just now, I feel pretty nearly perfectly happy. I can't feel exactly perfectly happy because, well, what color would you call this? She twitched one of her long, glossy braids over her thin shoulder and held it up before Matthew's eyes. Matthew was not used to deciding on the tints of ladies' tresses, but in this case there couldn't be much doubt. "It's red, ain't it?" he said. The girl let the braid drop back with a sigh that seemed to come from her very toes and to exhale forth all the sorrows of the ages. "Yes, it's red," she said resignedly. "Now you see why I can't be perfectly happy. Nobody could who has red hair. I don't mind the other things so much, the freckles and the green eyes and my skinniness. I can imagine them away. I can imagine that I have a beautiful rose leaf complexion and lovely starry violet eyes. But I cannot imagine that red hair away. I do my best. I think to myself, now my hair is a glorious black, black as the raven's wing. But all the time I know it is just plain red, and it breaks my heart. It will be my lifelong sorrow." I read of a girl once in a novel who had a lifelong sorrow, but it wasn't red hair. Her hair was pure gold rippling back from her alabaster brow. What is an alabaster brow? I never could find out. Can you tell me? "Well, now, I'm afraid I can't," said Matthew, who was getting a little dizzy. He felt as he had once felt in his rash youth when another boy had enticed him on the merry-go-round at picnic. Well, whatever it was must have been something nice because she was divinely beautiful. I scrolled too far. Whatever it was, it must have been something nice because she was divinely beautiful. Have you ever imagined what it must feel like to be divinely beautiful? Well, now, no, I haven't, confessed Matthew ingenuously. "I have often." "Which would you rather be if you had the choice? Divinely beautiful, or dazzlingly clever, or angelically good?" "Well, now I don't know exactly." "Neither do I. I can never decide. But it doesn't make much real difference, for it isn't likely I'll ever be either. It's certain I'll never be angelically good. Mrs. Spencer says, 'Oh, Mr. Cuthbert. Mr. Cuthbert. Oh, Mr. Cuthbert.'" That was not what Mrs. Spencer had said. Neither had the child tumbled out of the buggy, nor had Matthew done anything astonishing. They had simply rounded a curve in the road and found themselves in the avenue. The avenue, so called by the Newbridge people, was a stretch of road 400 or 500 yards long, completely arched over with a huge, wide spreading apple trees, planted years ago by an eccentric old farmer. Overhead was one long canopy of snowy, fragrant bloom. Below the boughs, the air was full of a purple twilight, and far ahead, a glimpse of painted sunset sky shone like a great rose window at the end of a cathedral aisle. All right, let me see. I'm sure I'm not missing anything. It was yummy. It's been long enough since you've eaten meat that you probably don't have any meat atoms left in you. Oh my god. Meet Adams. Bedtime story. Yes. Hi, Wendy. Welcome in. Hello. It's so good to see you. How's it going, Wendy? You're generally advised not to put things in front of people's eyes while they're driving, even if it's a horse cart. Oh my goodness. Red hair sounds pretty cool. Get wrecked, Ginger. Oh my goodness. You just realized this is a sleepy reading stream. Oh my goodness, yes. It is a sleepy reading stream. And Wendy's just waking up. Wendy did change her name. The vibes are so immaculate with this. Oh my god, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that's what I was going for. You're good, you're getting ready for, oh, you're still getting ready for work. Well, I think this is a nice way to wake up. It's a very relaxing way to wake up, maybe. I'm not sure. You just found somebody on Twitch that you know IRL. Oh my god. That's not happened to me. Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. I should check something really quickly. Oh, I do have ads starting soon. I need to pee, you guys. I need to pee. So I'm gonna like push my ads a couple minutes early and go pee, and then I'll be right back. Thank you, Alice. Oh, you've started only being on Twitch like at this time instead of being on your afternoon as well. Gotcha. All right, I got some water while I was up. I just have to get settled back in. All right, so we'll go for about another 20 minutes or so, I would say. Make some progress on this chapter. I kind of want to scroll ahead and see how close we are. We are close to the end of the second chapter. Okay, so then that might be... We can probably get there in about 20 minutes. I think this is going to work out pretty well and just do the first 2 chapters. The avenue. Okay, the avenue, that's where we were. A great rose window at the end of a cathedral aisle. There we go. Okay, I'm going to put on some chapstick. And we will carry on. All right. One sip. All right. Let's hope that the audio holds up through the end of it. Have you been reading for 2 hours already? Yeah, just about. I thought I would only do about an hour and a half. Yeah, it's been a little bit intermittent. Though, and I think that I'm getting comfortable with it. Oh, thank you for the hydrate. Cheers. I think that I've kind of figured out like a good balance of like pause, catch up with chat, grab a couple sips, unpause, keep reading. Like I feel like I've found a pretty good rhythm with it. So I think like there's still some kinks that I want to work out, and then for sure hydrate. Your mouth must be dry. Yeah, I've definitely been like intermittently trying to keep up with. Let's just have another sip though. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you for taking care of me. I appreciate it. All right, let's carry on. Its beauty seemed to strike the child dumb. She leaned back in the buggy, her thin hands clasped before her, her face lifted rapturously to the white splendor above. Even when they had passed out and were driving down the long slope to Newbridge, she never moved or spoke. Still, with rapt face, she gazed afar into the sunset west, with eyes that saw visions tripping splendidly across that glowing background. Through Newbridge, a bustling little village where dogs barked at them and small boys hooted and curious faces peered from the windows, they drove, still in silence. When 3 more miles had dropped away behind them, the child had not spoken. She could keep silence, it was evident, as energetically as she could talk. I guess you're feeling pretty tired and hungry, Matthew ventured to say at last, accounting for her long visitation of dumbness with the only reason he could think of. But we haven't very far to go now, only another mile. I'm going to reread that paragraph. I guess you're feeling pretty tired and hungry, Matthew ventured to say at last, accounting for her long visitation of silence with the only reason he could think of. But we haven't very far to go now, only another mile. She came out of her reverie with a deep sigh and looked at him with the dreamy gaze of a soul that had been wandering afar, star-led. "Oh, Mr. Cuthbert," she whispered, That place we came through, that white place, what was it? Well, now, you must mean the avenue, said Matthew after a few moments' profound reflection. It is a kind of pretty place. Pretty? Oh, pretty doesn't seem the right word to use, nor beautiful either. They don't go far enough. Oh, it was wonderful, wonderful. It's the first thing I ever saw that couldn't be improved upon by imagination. It just satisfies me here. She put one hand on her breast. I need to make sure I'm not going to fall off this cliff as well. It made a queer, funny ache, and yet it was a pleasant ache. Did you ever have an ache like that, Mr. Cuthbert? Well, now, I just can't recollect that I ever had. I have it lots of time, whenever I see anything royally beautiful. But they shouldn't call that lovely place the Avenue. There is no meaning in a name like that. They should call it, let me see, the White Way of Delight. Isn't that a nice, imaginative name? When I don't like the name of a place or a person, I always imagine a new one, and always think of them so. There was a girl at the asylum whose name was Hepzibah Jenkins, but I always imagined her as Rosalia de Vere. Other people may call that place the Avenue, but I shall always call it the White Way of Delight. Have we really only another mile to go before we get home? I'm glad and I'm sorry. I'm sorry because this drive has been so pleasant, and I'm always sorry when pleasant things end. Something still pleasanter may come after, but you can never be sure. And it's so often the case that it isn't pleasanter. That has been my experience anyhow. But I'm glad to think of getting home. You see, I've never had a real home since I can remember. It gives me that pleasant ache again just to think of coming to a really, truly home. Oh, isn't that pretty? Okay, I'm going to circle down onto the lake, I think. They had driven over the crest of a hill. Below them was a pond, looking almost like a river, so long and winding was it. A bridge spanned it midway, and from there to its lower end, where an amber-hued belt of sand hills shut it in from the dark blue gulf beyond. The water was a glory of many shifting hues, the most spiritual shadings of crocus and rose and ethereal green, with other elusive tintings for which no name has ever been found. Above the bridge, the pond ran up into fringing groves of fir and maple, and lay all darkly translucent in their wavering shadows. Here and there a wild plum leaned out from the bank, like a white-clad girl tiptoeing to her own reflection. From the marsh at the head of the pond came the clear, mournfully sweet chorus of the frogs. There was a little gray house peering around a white apple orchard on a slope beyond, and although it was not quite dark, a light was shining from one of its windows. I'm going to pause and sips. Hi, Draconic Acidic, welcome in. So much ASMR overpowering. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. That makes me so happy. I'm just going to take a couple sips because I can feel my voice. I'm glad we're getting a bit to the end of the second chapter. I think that 2 chapters hopefully If they're about the same size, I should read ahead and double check some things, but I'm so glad that you're enjoying it. All right, let's carry on. That's Barry's Pond, said Matthew. Oh, I don't like that name either. I shall call it, let me see, the Lake of Shining Waters. Yes, that is the right name for it. I know because of the thrill. When I hit on a name that suits exactly, it gives me a thrill. Do things ever give you a thrill? Matthew ruminated. Well, no, yes. It always kind of gives me a thrill to see them ugly white grubs that spade up in the cucumber beds. I hate the look of them. Oh, I don't think that can be exactly the same kind of a thrill. Do you think it can? There doesn't seem to be much connection between grubs and lakes of shining waters, does there? But why do other people call it Barry's Pond? I reckon because Mr. Barry lives up there in that house. Orchard Slope's the name of his place. If it wasn't for that big bush behind it, you could see Green Gables from here. But we have to go over the bridge and round by the road, so it's near half a mile further. Has Mr. Barry any little girls? Well, not so very. I don't like all the sounds of the traffic and stuff, so I wanted to pause while that went by. Has Mr. Barry any little girls? Well, not so very little either, about my size. He's got one about 11. Her name is Diana. With a long indrawing of breath. What a perfectly lovely name. Well now, I don't know. There's something dreadful heathenish about it, seems to me. I'd rather Jane or Mary or some sensible name like that. But when Diana was born, there was a schoolmaster boarding there, and they gave him the naming of her, and he called her Diana. I'm gonna pause for a second. Hope your subtle sounds soothe all the souls who need soothing. Aw. Not ready to be forced to sleep yet, though. Go gives Great Bear the peace it needs. Oh, thank you, Draconic. Berries. Barry's Pond would be a nice name. I agree. Yes, I'm also going to be saving all the VODs and everything and posting them on my YouTube, and I'm going to make a VOD collection as well. So if you want something to come back and listen to when you do need to fall asleep, that is the plan, building a collection of sleepy time videos for everybody to fall asleep to. So feel free to join us over there. All right, let's carry on. I wish there had been a schoolmaster like that around when I was born then. Oh, here we are at the bridge. I'm going to shut my eyes tight. I'm always afraid going over bridges. I can't help imagining that perhaps just as we get to the middle, they'll crumple up like a jackknife and nip us. So I shut my eyes. But I always have to open them for all when I think we're getting near the middle. Because you see, if the bridge did crumple up, I'd want to see it crumple. What a jolly rumble it makes. I always like the rumble part of it. Isn't it splendid there are so many things to like in this world? There, we're over. Now we'll look back. Good night, dear lake of shining waters. I always say good night to the things I love, just as I would to people. I think they like it. That water looks as if it was smiling at me. When they had driven up the further hill and around a corner, Matthew said, "We're pretty near home now. That's Green Gables over." "Oh, don't tell me," she interrupted breathlessly, catching at his partially raised arm and shutting her eyes that she might not see his gesture. "Let me guess. I'm sure I'll guess right." She opened her eyes and looked about her. They were on the crest of a hill. The sun had set some time since, but the landscape was still clear in the mellow afterlight. To the west, a dark church spire rose up against a marigold sky. Below was a little valley, and beyond a long, gently rising slope with snug farmsteads scattered along it. From one to another, the child's eyes darted, eager and wistful. At last they lingered on one away to the left, far back from the road, dimly white with blossoming trees in the twilight of the surrounding woods. Over it, in the stainless southwest sky, a great crystal white star was shining like a lamp of guidance and promise. "That's it, isn't it?" she said, pointing. Matthew slapped the reins on the sorrel's back delightedly. "Well, now you've guessed it. But I reckon Mrs. Spencer described it to you, so as you can tell." I need to get Astrid inside so that she can warm back up, so I'm going to walk towards that. And I think this paragraph is too long to grab the whole thing. I'm going to catch back up a chat. Maybe it's just my modern attention span, but I'm not sure I need an entire chapter dedicated to screaming in my face. And it's whimsical. And it's whimsical AF. And it's cute AF. Yeah, it's very descriptive. And it's cute is how you understood the chapter. Aw. Thanks for the stream. You're going to rest now. Have a great rest of your stream. You're doing great. Thank you, Alice. Thank you for being here. I hope you sleep well. I hope this helped you get cozy while you got ready for bed. I'm going to get Astrid inside to sleep, and then we've got a few paragraphs left before the end of chapter 2. I'm glad that you've enjoyed it. Yeah, just a few paragraphs left. So we'll let her warm up. I think let's just use a match to find the bed in here. There we go. I think the endless night was definitely a good idea, but I think we'll do no auroras next time. And I also like no blizzards, because I would super get lost if we did blizzards. Because I'm not fully looking at where we're going. I'm just looking out of like the corner of my eye. That was soda. There we go. You're far too invested to fall asleep. Oh. But yeah, night. Oh. Oh, another aurora. That's okay. Cloth. There we go. At least the aurora's pretty, but I wish it were quieter. Night, night, Alice. Hope you sleep well. I reckon Mrs. Spencer described it to you, so as you could tell. No, she didn't. Really, she didn't. All she said might just as well have been about most of those other places. I hadn't any real idea what it looked like, but just as soon as I saw it, I felt it was home. Oh, it seems as if I must be in a dream. Do you know, my arm must be black and blue from the elbow up, for I've pinched myself so many times today. Every little while, a horrible, sickening feeling would come over me, and I'd be so afraid it was all a dream. Then I'd pinch myself to see if it was real, until suddenly I remembered that even supposing it was only a dream, I'd better go on dreaming as long as I could. So I stopped pinching. But it is real, and we're nearly home. With a sigh of rapture, she relapsed into silence. Matthew stirred uneasily. He felt glad that it would be Marilla and not he who would have to tell this waif of the world that the home she longed for was not to be hers after all. They drove over Lynn's Hollow, where it was already quite dark, but not so dark that Mrs. Rachel could not see them from her window vantage, and up the hill and into the long lane of Green Gables. By the time they arrived at the house, Matthew was shrinking from the approaching revelation with an energy he did not understand. It was not of Marilla or himself he was thinking, or of the trouble this mistake was probably going to make for them, but of the child's disappointment. When he thought of that rapt light being quenched in her eyes, he had an uncomfortable feeling that he was going to assist at murdering something. Much the same feeling that came over him when he had to kill a lamb or calf or any other innocent little creature. The yard was quite dark as they turned into it, and the poplar leaves were rustling silkily all round it. "Listen to the trees talking in their sleep," she whispered, as he lifted her to the ground. "What nice dreams they must have." Then, holding tightly to the carpet bag which contained all her worldly goods, she followed him into the house. And that's the end of chapter 2. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for joining me today. Alright, I think it's been about a minute. I'm gonna get her inside. Is Tina still on? Is she still going? Oh, and Rain. I don't know if I've ever gotten to raid Rain. I raided Tina recently. Rain, I feel like, has super cozy vibes. And she sometimes streams very, very late. So I love Tina. We did raid her recently. I feel like Rain is like super cozy. And I don't think I've ever gotten to raid her because of how late she streams. But thank you for being here, Wendy. Thank you, Triz. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. I'm excited to keep carrying on and doing this in the future. There is the link to the new YouTube. Oh, you're done. Oh, no. Femi, we're done already. Yeah, we're just wrapping up. We just finished chapter 2. I don't want to look at the blinking for you, Femi. My goodness. I think I'm going to turn off the auroras. I think I'll get... K-Tabulous is pretty cozy playing Dreamlight. Oh. Thank you. Thank you, Tidy. Oh, you've been here. Okay, okay. Okay, good. Yeah, I hope everybody sleeps well. Okay, I will follow K-Tabulous and maybe we'll get to raid them in the future. Because I appreciate all the recommendations. Because Rainstorm is on Stardew Valley today. So thank you everybody for joining me. And then I had a couple of thank yous that I forgot to do earlier when all my stuff. So I'll do those thank yous from earlier today. Tina, I missed the resub. Thank you for the resub, Tina. I really appreciate it. And then I had 2 follows. I had follow from a turtle, like the little turtle. They disappeared again. And then I had a follow from... Oh, I can't remember the name. But it was someone that joined us from Queen's Raid. But thank you for the follows earlier as well. Everyone else is chaos, or you already know. Good call, yeah. Okay, I will follow them and then... Because I'm going to have, like, different people to raid being on this late. Because I never stream this late. And now I'm going to start trying to do it at least once a week. Maybe possibly twice a week. So let's get ready to go say hi to Rain. I hope you all have a beautiful night. Sleep well. Take care. I will be posting this to the new YouTube as well. All right. Night, night, everybody.